When we think about redeveloping our urban environment, aside from exploring rational design considerations, this essay film explores how we can pre-visualize the sensory and emotional experience of a new place as a story. This essay film focuses on the synthesis of a range of complementary cultural theories and practices in film, animation, and architecture for developing aesthetic simulations of places to incorporate cinematic composition, sound, and time-based narrative. Guy Debord, the founder of the Situationists, established the concept of derive, connecting urban spaces in new ways, bringing new meaning to spaces which previously may have had none, to create new, meaningful places. Instead of following the most obvious or logical route from A to B, for example, the most direct or fastest by foot or car, the process of derive considers a route defined by other, potentially abstract criteria. The route might focus on passing between certain types of space which contain particular objects or structures, defined thematically or by the activity taking place within, or affected by stimuli that evoke certain emotional states. Sergei Eisenstein was a key proponent of montage theory. He identified how the subject of each shot in a film may carry little or no narrative meaning on its own, but carries meaning and emotion once edited into a larger sequence. In the case of Man with a Movie Camera, directed by Dziga Vertov in 1929, the essay film juxtaposes industrial working-class living conditions with the lifestyle of high society. This creates an aesthetic experience communicating a cultural knowledge on the duality of a place. Eisenstein also experimented with various methods of montage. Rhythmic montage, for example, focuses on the patterns within each shot, whilst in tonal montage, one shot might reinforce the theme or highlight the depth of emotion of the next shot. The audience therefore takes part in an active experience, making loosely guided or more subjective associations, rather than passively witnessing a more explicitly organized narrative scene. The concept of the picturesque in architecture and landscape design creates an aesthetic notion of space, in which there is a sense of natural order and evolution, yet which is anything but natural, rather it is consciously man-made. The picturesque selects a viewpoint that creates an idealized or synthetic narrative space, a simulacrum even, which evokes a nostalgia for a time or place which has never existed, or at least which we have never known, but is perhaps culturally inherited and embedded in our collective psyche. Mise en scène, a filmic equivalent to the picturesque, perhaps, can be used to capture and interpret the aesthetic, narrative experience of a place, additionally through an all-encompassing depth of focus that enables us to move through and beyond a fixed view. Indexical links to things out of shot through the use of shadows and diegetic sounds, sounds that come from within the world connected to the shot. And invisible ephemeral elements such as sunlight, wind and rain that add sensory depth and meaning, indicating time of day, seasons, and associated themes or moods. Constant Neuvenhuizer design for a gypsy camp, 1958, was both an architectural setting and a utopian social model. Neuwenhuys applied bricolage, the use of found objects, in the conception of his design. A giant canopy, the overarching feature of the design, was visualized using deconstructed old bicycle wheels. The use of such found objects reflected the forms, textures, and makeshift nature of illegal or segregated spaces for displaced or traveller communities. This subversive appropriation of the vernacular of the gypsy camp, which challenged civic planning laws of the state, embodied the situationist concept of détournement, a playful reuse and hijacking of images and material to expose and rethink the status quo. In the same way as more poetic modes of documentary or essay film, animated documentary can pre-visualize the potential aesthetic experience of a place before the architectural design process begins, by way of simulating a first-person experience through a montage of semi-abstract close-ups, as well as through evocation, image and sound edited rhythmically and hypnotically, inducing a sort of memory state of nostalgic memory fragments, and non-mimetic substitution, embellishing footage to emphasize certain things. The pre-visualized place need not be a malevolent illusion, rather a simulacrum, a copy without an original, or at least a hybridized nostalgia and/or collective envisioning of place. The net outcome is a shift away from the material result towards the cultural exchange of ideas and narratives about place, captured quickly in film form.